Okay, shouldn't somebody have a countdown?
Yeah.
I don't have one of those things.
Oh, well, we're live now, so.
Okay.
Welcome, everyone, to our first IndieWebCamp online. This is kind of our trial run of everything, since we do not get very much participation, and I'm getting all kinds of pop-ups. Oh, thank you. You're adding. We normally don't get a lot of participation from the online community during our physical IndieWebCamps. So David and I decided to try out something new and do this entirely online. Let's see. Looks like everyone here is from the chat room, I think. You guys can talk too. Your microphones are all muted, it looks like.
We can unmute them.
Oh, okay.
I can force everybody to unmute.
The power.
Yes. I could also make all of you look silly. We played with that last week.
Okay. Still getting adjusted to all the controls here and everything.
Yeah, we did a
So
little.
we could have stopped. We could have waited until everyone was kind of set up here before we started broadcasting, but oh well. Everyone gets to see all the mess.
Well, isn't this iterating in public?
Yeah, there you go. Much better.
Where did I put that agenda? Here we are. On the hour, we have set up until 15 after the hour, where we have introductions and demos, followed by session scheduling, followed by sessions.
I need
Who's
to
playing music?
That's probably the.
I didn't hear anything.
Is that better?
Yeah.
There's a movie on in the background, sorry.
Blame nothing.
Blame my wife. She said I could. Yes, I know. Oh, we can also explain how to use the, what is this app?
What
Toolbox?
it's the Hangouts toolbox allows you to put down a lower third. Let's see if I don't know. Can I lower third people, or do I have to? Or I think each person has to lower third themselves. So if you select the little thing that looks like a lunchbox, you should be able to play with it and get a lower third. Okay.
Like that.
So I've pulled up the agenda from the last IndieWebCamp so that I can steal it, or liberally excerpt from it. Unless Ben, would you like to do that? You could. You could. I think we handled announcements. Next, according to the agenda, show Squarespace parody video.
Squarespace parody video?
Yeah. The IndieWebCamp Squarespace parody video.
Oh, yes, yes. It's confusing me here because I've got two computers I'm trying to manage between. Indie.
I do not know if your cheese is bad or not, so I'm going to bring it over.
Okay. Now there must be something here. Can we insert a video, or do I have to present one?
Present and switch to the. I think there is things like you can share a YouTube video, but then we wouldn't get it for the live stream. So I think we're better off actually just share your window that has it in it.
Okay, let's see what we can do here. I'll give it a shot. Okay, let's see. Where's that presenting button? That was here earlier. Let's see.
Should be the green icon on the left, screen share.
There it is. Okay, entire screen. Here we are. And you only share this window.
Oh my god.
I'm not getting any audio from it though.
If you haven't actually seen that, let's see. A link will be available in the IRC.
Yes. Okay, so for historic purposes, anyone who's watching this after the fact or even watching right now live, you can join us in the chat room on IndieWebCamp. Well, you can...
Freenode is...
Yeah, freenode.com or Freenode's IRC channel. The channel is IRC IndieWebCamp, or we've also got Indie Chat as well.
That would be for off-topic.
Yeah. As we need to, we'll break them up into separate chats if we need for like the separate breakout sessions later. But let's see. I think everyone's in there. Yeah. Ooh, a new session. This is so organized right now. Okay, so let's go around. We can do introductions now for those that are able to join us live here. David, do you want to start?
Well, I was going to be the one who does the typing this time.
Oh, okay.
I'll refer to that as the thing that usually happens at the beginning of this. I don't know if there's an official, but I'm going to say narrator.
Okay, so let's see. I guess I'll start off here. Hello,
do
everyone.
You want frustration with silos and site deaths?
What's that?
Well, I'm looking at the agenda from the Cambridge thing. Next thing is tell brief history.
Oh, okay. Well, for those that are unaware of the group, it started out with about 4 people. Tantek Jalik, Aaron, who is with us, Aaron Parecki. Yes, wave hi. Who else started it?
Amber Case?
Amber Case was one of the original.
There.
Yes,
Aaron, who started it? You were there.
Aaron,
and,
you want to?
And Crystal Beasley.
And Crystal Beasley?
Yeah.
You want to just give us a quick rundown of how things got started?
Yes, you can tell us what it was like back in the ancient days of 2010.
Right.
When dinosaurs roamed the earth.
Really, it came out of frustration of Tantek and I, who had gone to Federated Social Web Summit, and while that was a great gathering of people, the event turned out to be mostly a lot of people talking about things and not actually building things, talking and arguing. So we said, let's do it different next year, and we'll call it IndieWebCamp, and it'll be about actually building things for yourself and less about just trying to design things that are perfect system. So we decided to start IndieWebCamp along with Crystal Beasley and Amber Case, and as a way to actually make progress and iterate on things quickly and build stuff.
Okay, thank you. Let me switch off to presenting here. Okay, so basically we've started this. Well, they started this whole community. I'm fairly new in it. David, I think you're fairly new in it. We only joined it
March for me.
Yeah. I think that's about the same time as I did, thanks to, where did we join from? I don't know. So, I mean, we're fairly new to the group, but it's basically just an open community. We all kind of implement our own sites differently. As you can see from my name, I have my site listed there, ben.thatmustbe.me. The key concepts are essentially your identity is your website. And so let me switch to presenting. I can show you my website and some basics of it here. If I can present, share, there we are. Okay, is that working? You guys can see my, yeah. Okay, so this is my website, kind of a custom hack of a number of things really, but mostly based on OpenCart. I just ripped out everything except for the actual model view controller. And so this is my site. I can actually, the idea is to put my identity here. So I can log in just by logging in as my URL in a system called IndieAuth. IndieAuth basically says, okay, this is my URL. All it has to do is have some system to verify that I own that URL, which we can do with any of these accounts, as well as a number of other ways that have been invented. And once I click to log in, suddenly the site knows, okay, I'm logged in as me. Ta-da, I'm administrator of my site, so I can do things like edit, delete posts, forward, and a number of other things, little toys we've come up with. I'm constantly expanding this. And everybody kind of has their own setup for their own site. I'm guessing you all have your own site. I don't recognize all of you. But if you guys want to show off your site quickly.
Raise your hand if you don't have your own site. Let's go by process of elimination. Okay, we have somebody who does not have their own site.
Okay, well, sounds like something for a...
I do have a site, but I do not yet have the IndieAuth that's set up, but I would like to do that.
Okay, well, we have a whole afternoon for that.
Yes, and we can definitely help you with that. David, do you want to pick up from here?
I'll show off some things here. Let's see here. Where's my presenting mode? There it is again.
You're already there.
No, I don't want to show you 3 screens. I just need 1 screen. Okay, well, I have that up for different reasons. So let's find the right window I pre-prepared. So, no, that's not it. One of these is the right one. Okay, I'm one of what has been recently referred to as the WordPress Outreach Club, otherwise known as a group of people who use WordPress and are perfectly happy doing that. So this is my site as it exists today. It is my test ground for a lot of different things. In the back, it, of course, runs WordPress, as mentioned. And a lot of these features have been implemented at adding, and here we have our syndication links, so if you want to see the exact same posts elsewhere, that's of course available, and that allows for backfeed using Bridgie, which many people here are using. Here is of course the reply context. That one is just a basic one. If you continue to scroll, there are a few more. We need links here. So here are a few different presentation styles that I have there. And then elsewhere, I have my test site, which I import data into and use to develop new versions of the features. For example, let's see, just going back over too many things bookmarked. Over here, this is what a post looks like on the main site today. I have my face pile of all the people who liked it elsewhere, and some comments. And here is a test version of the same thing where I'm working on experimenting with slightly different styles. So I pulled the exact same post in. And in the back, let's see, here's the back of the test site. So here's, this is the reply context plugin, and this is what it would look like in a standard post editor. So there's the box, URL, custom title, content citation, and soon to be added to, since that's another one of my projects. There's the links for syndication. I don't know why I have Instagram on there. I must have been testing something because I don't actually use Instagram. So let's get rid of that. No more Instagram. And that's pretty much what I have right now in a couple dozen projects, including that link thing, the reply context one, and this H card, which is a widget. So all these things are hopefully at the end of the day going to converge, because I have a project that involves all of them, and bringing H cards into the site and storing them commonly, which I'm trying to figure out the best way to do without overwhelming the WordPress system. And I guess that brings it to the end of me for now. So I will turn it back over to whoever's next.
Would anyone like to show off their page here? Sea of faces.
Raise your hand.
Hi, I'll raise my hand. I'm kind of the odd one out here because I just, you can say today, installed my Redwind enough to get a mention back. So it's like, and I'm even odder than that because I come from the hidden ID community, which is like a Tor thing, and it's all about anonymity and hiding things, and here everything is about exposing yourself and trying to collect all your assets around the network, generate lots of metadata when you think about it, and present yourself best, which is, there's no contradiction here. Like I wrote in one of my posts, maybe I'll write here in the chat so that you can see my site. I'm not very good at this GUI, but I'll just type in dubious.org/indie. I'm sorry, it's not the root. Okay, you can see it now. So the idea of like you have, for example, I say, why do you need many identities, anonymous ones? You have a woman who is a cancer patient and she's an abused wife. But suppose she's also a fashion designer. She wants to promote herself as a fashion designer, build the brand, you know, and then she goes home to be abused and sick. Yeah, so there is a way to connect between the two things. And anyway, as an indie web camper, I'm really new, you know, sort of like I got a functioning site, but I'm still not sure what everything there does. So, but I think you can say I'm on-ramping fast enough. So I'm here to learn the concepts. I think that's it.
Okay, thank you.
I forgot about that.
Of course. Thank you, John. I'm just typing up those, trying to get your link into the IRC chat room.
Yeah, there's an extra dot in there.
My name is not John. It's a name. I have many.
Oh, okay. Would anyone else like to present? No?
Sure, I can go.
Okay.
See if I can figure out how to screen share.
It's a little blue greenish thing right at the top of the toolbar at the side.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, cool. I'm Aaron Parecki. My site is aaronparecki.com. I have been working on, I guess what I wanted to show today was continuation of what I've been working on at IndieWebCamp Cambridge. So I'll show you screen share. Let's see, this one.
That may not be the best screen share.
Yeah. So here's my website, and it's got the basics of being able to post notes and things like that. But the thing that is unusual is this side, which is keeping track of all sorts of things about me. So a lot of food that I eat, but also sleep and bike rides are on here. So the way I've been doing this is I have 2 ways to enter data into that about what I eat. I have a website that I use on my computer, which is a simple list, and I can type in freeform. And this also looks great on a phone. Like if I just shrink that, it's phone sized. But the fun one is this, which is my watch. So on my watch, I can go and choose the Teacup app, and then I get that same list of things to appear. So it's extremely quick. I just scroll down and hit a button, and then it's on my site. So the way that works is because this site Teacup supports micropub, which is the protocol this app uses to create posts on my site. And then the same with the watch. The watch also speaks that protocol now. So what I've been working on is trying to finish up the Pebble app and publish it in Pebble Store so that anybody else who has a watch can also use it. So that's probably what I'm going to try to work on today, is finishing that up. And hopefully also we'll have a special guest later in the day once she wakes up, which is an adorable kitty. And this is Dora. She has a website. She has a website, IndieWebCat.com, and she's been posting photos and things. And anyway, so I'm experimenting with this as well. She has a Instagram account, which is where all the photos come from. And the main thing that I'm missing here, which is also can be useful for my site, is the ability to syndicate posts after they're created, which I am now sorely lacking the ability to do. Right now I have to, when I post something, I have to choose where to syndicate it to right now, and that's it. So I'm trying to create a way to be able to syndicate these posts after the fact. I think that's all for me. Thanks.
That's not going to grow old, is it? Probably will.
Okay. Nobody else? Or Kyle, Matthias, we have Ray. Any of you? Ray's
Hello?
mic isn't detected.
Hey, do you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. My name is Matthias. I'm from Germany. I have not so much to show because my plugins. I'm also using WordPress. I'm part also of the WordPress. How is it called? WordPress
Outreach Club.
Outreach Club.
It was a committee when I was taking the original person who suggested it seriously, but it's migrated to a club because a committee sounds too formal.
Yeah, but nothing to show because I'm working on the web mention plugin, and this plugin doesn't have a UI yet, and the semantic linkback plugin, which also has no UI yet. I can show how the comments should look like. No, no web mentions yet. No one in Germany is using the IndieWeb, sadly. But my blog is not.
If you want to paste in the chat something you want us to mention, we can try.
Okay, wait a minute. Okay. That's the chat. Here's the blog.
Yeah, okay, I'll go and try something from there.
I'm also working on this on the theme, which is fully microformats 2 compatible.
Oh, that would be
And
excellent.
I also
The
enabled.
what was the older one? That one's kind of outdated, I know. Sempress. Yeah, Sempress is pretty outdated, so it'd be great to have a replacement for that out there, or just more in general.
What do you mean by that?
Well, I started out with Sempress, and I had all kinds of issues with it because it still has microformats 1 in there, and some people were only looking for microformats 2. Just generally, I did not like Sempress. So I'm all about more diversity as far as themes that support microformats too.
Well, you have mine, but it has a fair amount of errors. And I think that's up. But I don't know the last time I updated the repository, but let's see here. There's always that. That's the one I'm using on my site.
Oh yes, so for those that are confused, there are 2 chat rooms. There's a chat room built into Google Hangouts. We're not using it. I'm keeping it open and just copying whatever I see in there over into the IRC chat. But the IRC chat is definitely preferable as it logs everything. It's visible to everyone, even if they're not in the chat room, in the Google Hangout itself. Okay, is that what you wanted to show, or I know we're going to try and web mention you directly. See if we can.
I also implemented IndieAuth. I can show you that.
Sure. Do you know how to share your screen, by the way?
No, not really.
On the left side, there's a green icon. It should be the second one. It's a screen share.
Okay. 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 Are you seeing that?
I am. So.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Yep, we all got it.
So it's also working with my domain. I can use my domain to log in via indieauth.com. And that's it. Now I'm logged in. It searches for the URL in the profile there, and if it doesn't find a user with with a matching domain, it throws an error. That means it's multi-user enabled. Yeah.
That's really nice. Is that a plugin?
Yeah. It's on my GitHub account. I can share it in the ISC chat, and it should be also in the WordPress directory.
I had to disable it. For some reason, IndieAuth continues to not like me.
Where is it? There it is.
Oh no, we played a Squarespace video and they're coming to arrest us.
Yeah, that's it.
Sorry, I had to step away for a second. I have a sick wife.
Oh, I thought it might be the police at your door, maybe.
Wait, what?
Or there were sirens. Somebody had sirens in their background.
Oh. Okay, so anyone else who would like to present? Ray, you said your audio was out.
I'll show something real quick.
Okay.
Do you have to?
I've got you switched to present.
Okay. So the most recent thing I was working on was doing sort of proper venues for my check-ins, so that they're not just checking in at a GPS latitude and longitude. So I'll show that real quick. Is that working?
Yeah, we see a site.
Okay. So yeah, to do a check-in, I click check-in, and then it should pop up a list of venues here that are close by to wherever I am. It's taking a minute.
So where are you getting the list?
I've been sort of populating it every time I do a new one.
So it just caches the ones you've previously done.
Yeah. So if like these are the restaurants near my house here, but if I want to check into like the grocery store, click on that, publish, and that creates the check-in at the location. And then there's also like the list of all the locations that I've added, and you can click on one of those to see all the check-ins at that particular location. I know that there's some question about how to generate these permalinks, or like what the best way to do that is, and right now I'm just doing the name of the venue and like locality and region, I think is what it's called in the OpenStreetMap geocoding thing. Um, so that's still a problem if there's like, two Starbucks in the same city or whatever. They could have the same name, but I haven't run into that yet. That's it.
Cool. Let's see. Good stuff. GWG, David, what is the URL you're using? Because I know you said you have a much more broken down schedule here.
If you go to IndieWebCamp.com/2014/online, there's the tentative schedule. Which shows the next part of the, it's right there. The next part of the agenda after demos would be session scheduling, which we may be a few minutes ahead on. And then there's a session proposal page, which has been added.
Okay. Oh, I thought you had more of an agenda because you had like info about the video to post and things like that, or video to show off. But this is fine. Before we do that, anybody else want to show off their site, or I think it's just. Call.
I won't show off my site, but I might show off something that could be useful for this next section.
Okay.
It was I helped run a community last year called Build the Collaborative Internet, and we tried to transition from doing real-world meetings, online meetings, conference structures, pretty similar to what you guys are running today. It sounds like. I'll drop a link, but basically if you go to collaborativeinter.net, me not being much of a coder with Google Hangouts. Whoops, I missed a C there. Yeah, and that made it a little easier for us in advance to be scheduling sessions or during the Hangout scheduling sessions. So I don't know how you guys are planning on running that, but
well, this is the first time, so we'll be learning as we go along.
Okay. There is a Google Doc, I guess, structure that I'd created that made that a little easier. I am interested in helping build out a better digital unconference structure. I've been wireframing some stuff up related to that, but I'm attending today in part because I'm somebody who is very much on the discussion end and want to be building a lot more, but I have fairly limited skill sets in terms of actually coding. So
well, that's why you have Known, which is fully constructed if you want to install that. You have WordPress, which has plugins and options for that if you want.
And I use WordPress, and I was hanging out with Ben and Kevin Marks the other day, and I'm familiar with Known. I'm planning on using those as well, but I'm wanting to change the structure of the internet, and it's hard to do that. It's harder to do that when you don't actually build. So.
Cool, thank you. Okay, let's see if we can stop you presenting. And okay, so if there's no one else, because I think that's everyone, we can go on to if anyone wants to propose any sessions. So the way this normally works I don't know if you guys have ever been to one of these conferences or any kind of unconference, is usually we'll kind of get a list of things we want to talk about and just kind of get those down, and we can organize them into separate groups. We've got a small enough group that I'm guessing will probably not even leave this room unless a lot of other people join, at which point we can split it up into 2 groups and have 2 different sessions going on at the same time. But if there's anything in particular people want to talk about, you can just toss out some ideas. One of the things I'd certainly like to talk about is getting.
I was going
Oh, go ahead.
to propose security.
Security.
Uh,
Okay.
yeah, various aspects of it. For example, at IndieWebCamp, I cannot log in as to the SSL. I have to go to the HTTP of IndieWebCamp to do the Indie auth, and then I can go back to the SSL and everything is fine. And I guess there are lots of things like this. Or for example, I tried once to put an H card inside the wiki because I wanted to check something, and it didn't filter out the rel equals. Now, is it a good thing or a bad thing? You know, sort of my paranoid approach is this is a bad thing, unless proven otherwise. So this is like the basic, you know, sort of. Do we want to have some sort of a process where we peer review the stuff that we do security-wise? I'm not sure I'm good enough for this, but at least as a user, I know I'm worried. And now we can go other levels higher in this, and that's the question of whether or not to talk about hidden ID here. For example, it has a WordPress plugin, and it enables also IndieOauth if you use IndieOauth as an OpenID delegate. So maybe from the back door, you know, I can sort of offer it to the people here who have WordPress. But it's also a question of like how many of you use Tor or have users who use Tor. What do you think about Tor users? You know, it's I don't know. Like I'm a stranger here.
That's okay. That sounds awesome. I mean, I don't think that just because you're new, you're not good enough to kind of weigh in on the subject or consider security. We all are just users, pretty much. I was going to say I would want to talk kind of about the indie messaging, and one of the things I'm trying to work toward is getting it to that point of where I can just stop using like AOL Instant Messenger and hopefully one day Google Hangouts, and just do it all through my site. And I think that'd be great, but you have to get like, I guess kind of that, my thought on that first stepping stone is kind of getting your contacts list and getting all the contacts organized. And I know that's, David, you've been working on contacts recently. That seems to be
I've been trying to figure out how to work on it, because I don't want to destroy too much of WordPress, which already has its own systems. So the problem is, how do you put something in that won't essentially cut out what you have there already?
I seem to be in focus here. If we're talking about chats and stuff, there are very heavy standards like XMPP and then OTR on top of it and everything. But already people are working quite a lot about it, and they keep getting attacked and keep fixing it. So isn't it better just to find a way how to embed this in WordPress or whatever and use something robust as the backend, or even IRC, I don't know, something that many people use and fix the bugs?
What the heck? My screen has completely frozen, so I don't know if you guys can hear me or see me or not.
I can hear you, but not see you. But you just pop back in.
Okay. I might just leave for a second and come back.
Okay, we'll all be here. Talk amongst yourselves.
You want to take over just getting session ideas?
Okay, I'm putting all of them in the wiki as we speak.
Oh, okay. Well, my computer's completely frozen, so I can't even close Hangouts, so I'm stuck.
Okay.
Great.
We're keeping you hostage?
Basically, yeah. That's what I get for using an older, chunkier laptop to connect with. I'm more concerned just in the general sense, because I know you're going to be focused heavily on just WordPress implementation. I mean, definitely, I think once we get that kind of, like, I know people have done private posts before to a specific person, and I think it's just kind of an extension of that. It's just getting the management of it would be the important part. but we can get into that in the session. Anyone else have any ideas here? Can you even hear me anymore?
I can hear you.
Oh, okay. No clue if I was talking to myself there for a minute.
Can everybody else hear him? Okay, we have a lot of... in there. We have a thumbs up. We have somebody taking a drink of a beverage. So we have two proposals on here. We have messaging and we have security. Actually, it should just say probably messaging, not indie messaging. Everything here is technically indie. And what else do we have that people want to talk about?
Dave, can you share that link to the wiki? I don't know where that page is.
Oh, the page that I'm editing?
Yeah.
Okay, every time I edit it, it appears in the chat. Give me 1 second. It's I'm going to read it out, and I'll also paste it into the chat in the Hangout. It's IndieWebCamp.com/2014/online/sessions. Here it is in that chat here, just in case you did click on it. So we have 2 sessions. Any other proposals? We're going to get to the hack part very quickly then. No, I just don't hear anything. It's just me, or is this people just not talking?
Nobody's been talking.
Oh, okay.
Hey, maybe it's worth doing something on trying to flush out micropub more with to have it support full CRUD. Would anybody be up for talking about that? I know we've been experimenting a little bit with it, and there's at least one implementation.
Anybody for talking about micropub?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, micropub goes on the list. Yeah, I knew a certain somebody would be in there editing the wiki as I was. Okay, micropub page coming up. What is the official definition of micropub? Oh, here we are. Open API standard. I like to be thorough. There we are. Who proposed that? I'm sorry, I wasn't looking, and I don't recognize voices without looking at the pictures.
Karen.
Okay. Sorry, I have you guys off to the side. You're over here, and my other screen's over here. So there we are. Okay. So we have 3 topics: security so far, messaging, and micropub.
And I'm back.
Anybody else? Welcome back. We're up to 3 topics.
Okay.
How many sessions are we going to do?
Well, that was the question. I thought it was easier to see how many topics we had and then figure out how many sessions we were going to do.
Oh, okay.
At the moment, so far, we've scheduled, what now, 2.5 hours? So we have 3 sessions in 2.5 hours. Do we want to see if we can get 1 or 2 more?
Yeah, I think that'd be good. Just do half an hour each then.
Okay.
Let's see.
Well, I have one I've wanted
A
to.
half hour is kind of short for a session, actually. I would suggest something like 45.
Okay, well, that would put it in. We have enough time for one 15-minute session. I did have one idea, but I'm not sure if anybody's interested. I've been looking at design again, which is design of reply context and design of comment presentation. I'm not sure if anybody's interested in discussing that.
I think that's probably worth talking about, since there's actually very few implementations of something more than just a URL in the reply context right now.
Yeah, I agree.
I will put that on the list.
The only other thing I've been working on lately was kind of organizing post types, because I know there was some discussion of what defines a note versus a photo versus a link and bookmark, et cetera, et cetera. I've just been kind of trying to work out ideas of how to really split those up, put it sanely or logically, if you will. So, like, is a post of a file different than just a general post of a note? Is the post of a photo really a post of a photo, et cetera, et cetera? And just try and get some kind of handle around it, I guess, because I'm sure I'm going to be expanding into other ideas. That can probably be just a short one.
One question. O-embed, is it something that is covered in the webcam? Because I know that Redwin doesn't have it, but like when I want to share something, looking at the O-embed and everything, is covered?
There are definitely people using it.
But, I think there's more of a tendency towards it as a idea, but more people are trying to discuss how to integrate presentations from other sites into their sites rather than embedding it in, which has pros and cons.
Yeah, but the thing, for example, if you support O-embed, what you get right from the start is diaspora, for example, and even Twitter. You can O-embed Twitter.
Yes, and a lot of people are doing that, and a lot of people aren't. So I would say it's more of a choice once you decide that you're embedding something, whether you're using the O-embed version or your own.
Yeah. Okay. So it's not a session.
Well, it could be, because I know there's been discussion in the past of how to present. That might, I guess that might be kind of fall into the reply context section of, like, embedding what you're replying to kind of idea.
What I see from Redwind, which is all I know, it's called share. And this is where the problem is. If I try to share a picture from diaspora, I get the name of a picture.
That's more about recognizing post types and in Micromaths 2 classes. So
Yeah,
that's
all
where that discussion falls, actually, which is important.
Yeah. So maybe it should be some sort of a fallback, like you have web mentions and you also try WordPress pingback. So maybe, if you don't find anything that is more IndieWebCamp-ish, OEmbed should be a fallback. Or not. I don't know.
So I know that MKO, MONs.net, I think, has a lot of different embed types that he supports. So anything that he links to has a preview at the bottom of the post. But yeah, I haven't implemented that in Redwind.
Okay, do we now have 4 session proposals? Do we want to stop there? Any call?
I think that's good to start. We can do like one before we break for, kind of take a break, because I think we go for, let me check the schedule. Was it set up to go for an hour here and then we take a break, or am I?
Well, we're ahead of schedule. We scheduled half an hour for scheduling, so we have 20 extra minutes to actually start a session. So we could take a 5-minute break if we want.
That is up to you guys.
Okay. Well, by show of hands, all in favor of a 5-minute break before starting the first session, raise your hand. All disinterested and could go either way, keep your hands down.
So it looks like 3 in favor of.
And
Your hands are just outside of frame, everyone.
everybody hold your hand up in front of your face, like so.
Okay, I think we're in favor of a 5-minute break then.
Okay. I will get the magic egg timer. When all of you hear a loud ringing noise, please return to your computers.
Hey, what are you doing? What are you doing?
For those of you watching the recording, you may now fast forward.
Don't do that. What are you doing?
Yes. I mean, how big a company is it? Using like a little coffee mug? Oh, the big one? Yeah, I already used half of that.
Everyone's asleep now. It's past midnight, so when I speak, I'll try to speak more quietly. I'm from Thailand, if you're trying to calculate the time zones.
Okay. You're late.
Yes, sorry. I told you, sick wife I'm taking care of at the moment.
I hope she feels better.
Yes. Okay. So, as far as first, how late was I? As far as first session, or at least scheduling, because we set out ideas, we didn't figure out which order we want these in.
Okay. So we have security, messaging, micropub, and design. How do we choose? We could have a vote. We could flip a coin, roll some dice.
Does not matter to me. Anyone want to talk about anything right away?
I could give it a go.
Yeah, let's just go in the order they were proposed.
Okay. We don't have to figure it out. So security comes first.
Yeah, now I was thinking sort of if we do like security first, then privacy, then security is going to be pretty short. Like what I'm talking about is we cannot get into the details of all implementations, and all in all, the idea of IndieWebCamp is it's a framework and not exactly a protocol or a set of protocols or some. It's a bit fluid there. A bit like if you know Homakov's jokes about OAuth 2, but maybe Aaron, so I did mention about this. But anyway, what I'm suggesting is that if we agree, we try to contact people. Best way to do this is Liberation Tech list on MIT, and try to interest them into going into the wiki and opening a page about security or something, and try to organize peer review of all implementations, remarks that people find or something. I feel like I'm not big enough in order to organize it, but I guess nobody is. So, like, I think that all in all, it's many details of many things I don't know about. So, in one sense, I'd say, like, number one, we open an empty page for it. And number two, my suggestion is to contact people from Liberation Tech and ask them, how do you do these things? Or Tactical Tech in Germany, you know, like all the people try to organize these things. Now I don't want to start this opening by let's close this part of the discussion. So we'll get back to what people have to say about security in a minute. But later I would like to speak about aspects of privacy in sort of trying to understand where hidden ID could fit into this ecosphere, which is not like I thought in the beginning, but people who have, maybe I should explain first what hidden ID is.
Yeah, I think
I'm
that'd
just
be good.
putting, so first we're talking about hidden ID.github.io, and we have a WordPress blog, which is interesting. It means that we can install many things that you do here. Like David is doing things and Matthias is doing things that are WordPress plugins. So we could integrate with that. Now, what is the blog I'm talking about? This is the logins. We talk about your microphone is muted. Is it true? Do you hear me?
I hear you.
Yeah, we hear you.
Okay, I don't know. Google told me that my microphone was muted. But anyway, I'm writing about the blog now, Hidden ID. This is a blog, and I found out that everyone with IndieOf can log into it. Like, all you need to do is to delegate IndieOf as your OpenID. I guess most of you know what I'm talking about. Anyone doesn't know how to delegate IndieOf as OpenID? Raise your hand.
I could look it up.
Everybody knows.
I'm familiar
Yeah,
with the
so-
idea. I just don't know the command. I'd have to just look it
Yeah,
up.
so it's something that you just paste 2 lines into your head, and then you can log into this blog that I just pasted here. Now, this blog, you see people who have an OpenID logo, and you have people who have a hidden ID logo. It looks like a smiley with sunglasses, a business card over a smiley with sunglasses. So, what are these people? These people they come through Tor, and Tor has a problem at the moment, but mainstream services like, let's say, Wikipedia won't let you edit through Tor, and they are the good guys, you know. Then think about bad guys, and you have Facebook. Okay, they're trying to get inside, but what do we do with somebody anonymous wants to go to, let's say, a blog of cancer patients, and you need to identify yourself to come and say, hello, my name is John. Okay, that's a good name. That's my name now, and I'm a cancer patient. And in WordPress, you can, for example, you can moderate by email address, which is something that is easy to attack. So suppose you had a way to moderate by the person has a key and it just works, it's OpenID for you, except that you need to run Tor on the same server, but it's OpenID for you. And then you get somebody, you moderate the first comment because it's not spam, and you have a new person and consistent, and you can even, it's a single sign-on, you can see what this person is doing on other in the indie sphere or whatever, on other blogs, and we'll try to find ways to do this. And actually the OpenID provider is a hidden service on my PC. Sort of like I have the key, I can go to another PC and I open the OpenID provider. So this can solve the problem of trust of administrators. Now, this is not very interesting to IndieWebCamp because you're not hosts, you're not administrators that will have users. Except, if you have WordPress and you want people from outside the Indie sphere. But the thing is that IndieWebCamp are IndieOauth can let you log in via OpenID to hidden ID sites. So in a way, it's a bridge between like the hidden world and the very open IndieWebCamp where people want to be beacons of metadata. So the question is, first, like, feel free to log in with IndieOauth to that blog and comment whatever you want, and think about if you want to install this. It's not only a WordPress plugin; you also have to run Tor on your server. But if anyone here is interested in this, it's an opportunity. Now, let's go back to what we do about security. I think that was a bit of it glitched into a sales pitch. So let's go back to the concept of security. Do you think, for example, that people should be able to put links with rel equals something into the wiki? It's something that I found out by mistake that was possible.
That there has been some discussion on that, because that obviously could let you essentially say that you are the wiki and potentially get some crossbleed. I mean, I would be for not allowing that. I didn't realize that it did. I'm trying to recall kind of all the conversations we had on that.
Well, there is one other thing I discovered recently. I was trying to get us the vanity URL for our Google Plus page in preparation for this event. And in order to do that, you have to put the rel equals publisher into the wiki. And ultimately, I decided to back off on that, even though it would make life easier for people trying to find these presentations, because I didn't want to start declaring us as a publisher to Google, even though technically that isn't necessarily the worst thing in the world. I just figured it wasn't really my decision as a solo member of the community. It was more of a discussion topic. Should we be identifying a Google Plus page as something we're related to, even though it's technically one that the community has set up?
It's a good question. Now I'm kind of thinking about what would the real ramifications be of having a rel me link in the wiki. Like, it makes sense if it's on your wiki page. Actually, it makes.
Well, it should be limited. It should be limited to user pages then.
Yeah.
So user : your site, as opposed to anybody putting in any page. So if you filter it out of everything but the user pages, I'm sure that's possible. I've never looked.
True, but I mean, we also kind of look at the sense of when you have a rel me link, we tend to go back to the subdomain or the root domain as what you're saying rel me to. It's not just an individual page. Although no, you are, because we do that.
Well, no, because we do that with other sites.
Yeah, that's true.
And the only other page that it makes sense is the main page itself, to say our site is related to other things, and that goes back to the publisher question.
Yeah, I mean, in some sense, rel me is inherently not totally trusted. All it says is that you can edit both these two pages, and they are editable by the same person, in theory. But it's not like we're saying we trust the wiki implicitly just because you have a rel me link from your site to the wiki. Rel me really comes in as we already trust this external site. You're coming on as your site, and can we trust that your site and that site point to each other? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm just documenting this.
Oh, okay. Trying to. I have to think that through more. Like, I'd say what is your John or not real John? Yeah, you are muted. I can't figure out.
If you go to the control room thing, there should be an option to unforce a mute.
Unforce and mute.
Should be.
It doesn't let me. It looks like he muted it locally.
Yeah, so we could mute anybody and unmute them, but I think they have a local override.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely shows you as muted, John. I'd like to really get you back into this discussion. It should be. I mean, it should just be an icon at the top for yourself to unmute yourself. I don't know why you can't. One new chat message. It seems to be mute. It's red. It wasn't red before. Yes, click that red button and it should unmute you. Okay. I don't know what happened there. Huh. That's frustrating. Technical difficulty. So I saw a pop-up a while ago. It said he'd been muted. I wonder if I force to present from him and if it'll automatically unmute. I believe it mutes if it stops detecting your microphone too.
Yeah, there he is. I think
Yeah, I tried force presenting him, but it still shows muted. Yeah. And he gets no audio. Or is that he's just sending no audio? Okay, well, I don't know if he's followed the... Oh, he can talk in chat, so we'll see if we can follow from this. A definite interesting point is we could go into the vouch that Tantec proposed, and I've actually since implemented. But I think he's more obviously concerned on anonymity, which obviously is kind of counter to the whole indie web of centralize everything. But I know we've had a huge push for everyone to use HTTPS. Okay, just asked about URL. The vouch is an extension to WebMention that basically says it's primarily intended to prevent spam, but it kind of unlocks a level of whitelisting, so you're only talking to friends, and I think that's a different issue, really. That's more of spam management. But it's an extension to WebMention to say, I only accept web mentions right now from people who I've whitelisted. However, I say friends of those people I've whitelisted can message me. Why not do all reputation?
Remember, it's people who you approved.
Yes.
The terminology on this is actually very important. There's no mention of friends and no mention of trust.
Okay. Yes, I always do that wrong. And I apologize. I'm trying to follow the chat at the same time because John lost audio. So he said, why not do all reputation management client side? All reputation management. I'm trying to parse what he means by that.
I'm not seeing.
I think it's in the chat room here in the Hangout, not the one in IRC.
Can we keep it in the IRC?
Yeah, I tried to. For those that don't know, it's definitely preferable to use an IRC client, and yeah, actually, why don't we just post a link to the beta chat, the beta link?
Yeah, perfect.
So I pasted the IRC link, so everyone's going off in there.
Hey guys, I'm going to have to leave, but thank you very much for letting me sit in on this.
No problem. We'll be around all day, and obviously we'll post all the YouTube links later. I guess it'll just be on the IndieWebCamp stream. So
Sounds great.
Yeah, it'll be the whole thing. You can fast forward through it and watch all of this.
Bye, guys.
Bye. So it's an interesting question, though, of if you wanted to post an anonymous post on someone's site, is that really something you as a server, as a host, kind of want to allow at all? Is anonymous posting, and at what point does that become like, I want to allow anonymous posting, but where do you limit it? Because obviously that's one of the key factors in stopping spam. You know, you can allow anonymous posting just by letting anyone post. But I think that goes back to this hidden ID. So somebody would log in, authenticate with IndieAuth, or hidden ID or OpenAuth, something along those lines, but not post their who is posting it. You're just posting kind of the information, the comment. I think that comes down to implementation details. Yeah, if you have Tor, you're saying you're keeping it secure as far as the transmission, the connection. If you have Tor, you can click on the author links. So the author links wouldn't be published unless someone is using Tor.
So how does accountability work? How does, if somebody is using hidden ID to post death threats on my site, like,
well, okay, so
is there some way to tell them or to block them, or
from what I can gather thus far, you can moderate anyone. It's not anonymous to the site owner, and that's what I think I was confusing. This is talking about like, you're right. Again, John, if you can use the IRC chat, that'd be better. But it's not anonymous to the site owner. It's anonymous to, okay, he's installing now, so great. It's not anonymous to the site owner. It's the idea that if you're a member of this community, then you can see who is available there, who posted. And I guess this is where the installing Tor on your server. So your server says, oh, okay, that person is coming in via Tor. Now they can see all the info on the person who posted and click to their site. So it kind of, I suppose you can say it's trying to create that dark net of like, there's this info, but you really don't know anything about them unless you're coming in from Tor and doing it completely private and secure. And I'm hoping I'm getting this right, John. I see you kind of bobbing your head, so track record. There's no need for all the info. I have a track record. Well, there's at some point you can, that kind of comes into posting private messages for specific people. It's not about, I guess I'm trying to tantec this right here and do what's the use case. That's the question, I think, is I'm reporting from North Korea. Oh, okay. That's if you're reporting from North Korea, if I'm reporting from North Korea, I'm an abused wife, I look for a job, things like that, you don't want all of these posted publicly, but you'd want to be able to post these on someone else's site, you're saying, but do it anonymously, yet still do it through semi-anonymously. Your boss shouldn't know about all your posts, things like that. But not connected to me. Publicly post, but not connected to you. Is that really just setting up a different site then? Is set up a separate site for your anonymous post? We have IndieWebCamp. That's right. I'm trying to follow this conversation right here until. Yeah, I mean. So he's saying, like, if you're a Chinese dissident and you want to post things anonymously in the indie web, how do you do that and not just we do come from different worlds. Yes. I'm trying to play devil's advocate for you. Does anyone have any ideas on this? On, like, thoughts on posting anonymously but keeping it accountable? Is that, like, I'm of the opinion that is more of client details, but then you do want something. I can see you saying, like, we would want something for that generic that says, yes, I have a post, but don't post my, don't post who posted it, things like that.
I just realized I was still muted.
Oh.
Oh.
People are taking photos now, I see.
Okay. It's a bit early for that.
Yes.
But if you're the question is, going back to how do you confirm your identity without saying what it is? And that could still be a website, even if it's an anonymous one, because you're saying my identity is tied to this website and nobody but me can authenticate to that. So at the end of the day, that website could be your real name. Let's say your real name is John Doe, or it could be your fake name, Bob Smith. So whatever name you put on the site doesn't mean that you can't be anonymous. Now, admittedly, then you get into domain name registration, which has always been an issue. You get into other ways to track you. But if you're saying that your identity ties to your domain, why does your domain have to say your actual name?
Good point.
Why does it have to reveal anything about you except if I authenticate to this site, that's me I'm saying I am?
Good point. I mean, unless you're looking at the whitelisting version of it, but I really don't see. I guess that's really just you're using Tor to connect to these sites.
Well, even at a lower level, there's domain privacy where you don't have to tell anybody where the domain is.
Yes.
It depends on what level of privacy you want, but at the end of the day, if you have a domain, you could authenticate against it. And then people can say, maybe they don't know what's the Bitcoin guy, Satoshi Nakamura is, but they know when he says something. They know it's him.
Yeah, actually, I think that'd be a positive. It's not like you want just these random posts all over the place, because then it's, yeah. Satoshi is a good example, yeah.
You just want to be able to certify you are who you say you are, even if you aren't saying who that is. That seems like an odd way to describe it, but it seems to work.
Sorry, I keep getting distracted by this cat face. Yeah, rather. Really wish we could unmute him.
I don't know how he got muted.
Yeah. Like I said, with mine, I think if it stops recognizing the microphone, it instantly mutes. But I'm going to switch to this video now, which is really weird. Okay. Let's see how we're doing on time. I guess until we kind of get him back into make more arguments, I think.
Do we want to briefly cover something else while we're saying?
Yeah. Oh, I think he just dropped out. I'm guessing he's trying to rejoin. I mean, I as far as the vouch, I guess we can sidetrack to that.
Yeah, which is related.
Yeah, I actually, as soon as I implemented it, I actually cut off all web mentions coming in that don't use a vouch or aren't on my whitelist. So only whitelisted people and vouched people can post to my site right now.
So the question is, let's say that I'm me, and I'm waiting for somebody in the room to implement vouch support for WordPress because it isn't going to be me.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to see if he was going to react. But then what do? I have to send you a message saying, please add me to your whitelist. You have a page up that says how you could manually get approval, assuming you haven't gone into that feature.
I haven't. I still log all web mentions coming in. So, I mean, I can still see, like, oh, somebody sent me a web mention, but I didn't approve them. Let me look at it, I'll review it after the fact of here were rejected web mentions that I can
So
go back.
you're not rejecting them, you're moderating them. Which is,
Yes, well, I reject them, but I leave them in I still have the history of it, the log of it, I should say.
As far as the sender is concerned, they rejected, right?
Yes. Yeah. I follow the protocol that was set up, so they will see it as a reject, but I can always go back and view that log.
I'm just reading right here. Let's see. We have web mention support only, web mention with vouch support, asynchronous network traffic. Where is rejection on here? I'm looking at the wiki page. See, how do I verify a vouch?
It's just part of the flow diagram.
Yeah.
It's okay.
It returns something. I don't remember.
Approved source, no. Has vouch parameter, no. Return 449.
That's the retry with vouch code.
Let's see. Does vouch? I'm looking. No. Status 400. No, it's a synchronous process. Vouch testing support, not in flow diagram. Let's see. Start. No. 44. Where is it? Every time there's a no, it says 449. I'm reading the. I better look at the picture. I was looking at the words. So let's look at the whiteboard scan here.
Yes.
So that would be what 400's approved, but no, it still says has vouch no.
No, 400 is the denied. 449 is the retry with vouch.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Yeah. So there's several paths that result in 400, which is if the vouch is not approved, for example.
Yeah, they would get a 400 at some point from me if they tried to web mention me and did not have either weren't on my on my whitelist or did not have a vouch. They would either get a 449 or just straight out 400 at some point. But I would still see that in the logs, and I can actually go and retry theirs, whitelist them, and retry that mention. Just auto pull it in.
I only have one solution to this.
Oh.
Issue request. Okay. Unfortunately, I don't think that I'm going to be doing this one. But now that means I can't talk to you. I'm so disappointed.
Oh, I think I already whitelisted you.
Oh, good.
I pretty much whitelisted
Your
everyone.
whitelist an explicit whitelist, or is it based on people you've linked to?
It's an explicit whitelist, although I think I'm trying to remember. I believe I update it when I link to people. No, I do. It's people I've linked to, but also people I manually added to that whitelist.
Okay.
And the whitelist is published. If you look at the header of my page, there's a rel me to that whitelist page, so that anyone can easily find that whitelist and use that as the vouch URL.
Interesting. Did you say rel me?
I believe when I looked at, it basically went back to the only protocol I could find was basically using it as a friend list and saying here is my either blog roll or friend list. And yeah, it said to use that as a rel me. So yes, it is a
Okay.
rel me. It looks like John is
Yes,
back.
we have audio.
Excellent. So did you follow a lot of the conversation we were talking about in there, as far as?
And I know you were talking about vouch.
Yes, when you disappeared, we got distracted and switched off there. But
Actually, I saw, but you were talking about reputation management, which is also interesting. There's something we're doing called Notorious, which is client side, but in the web world, you know, the domain owner is the client, so it could be similar. The idea is to locally do the moderation or whatever. Say I want to block this guy or whatever, but you can have, like today, you have some mix-up when you do a follow, let's say in Twitter. You say two things. First is, this one is interesting, and second is, I recommend it. And it's like two different things. Now, maybe it's interesting not because I recommended it, just because I hate this guy and I want to find out when he's wrong on the internet. So it doesn't even have now all the snooping that people do on our metadata is built on us publicizing all this. Now, if we could just say, when I recommend, I do it like if you talk about WordPress, you have a blog roll. So there is a blog roll, there is OPML or FOF or all those things where I declare, this is my friend, this is someone who is good at economics. And there's all the rest, which is like private for me, and I should also be able to email to you with GPG. Listen, this is a list of shithead. I recommend to you that you block them, but I don't want it publicly known. So I think it should be two different systems.
yeah, and I think that falls down more to the implementation on your individual site, though, because right now we don't have that clear system of I follow or I like, other than just a single post, which I think makes sense, because you'd post when you say, okay, I like someone, I like this URL here, I could post it publicly or I could post it privately to my friends. But that control level is on the individual post.
Tagging, like for example, to go and say this one knows Python.
Well, there was one implementation that I liked with like and favorite that was being used. That like was when you like a specific thing, such as a post and favorite was being used when you actually liked a concept to distinguish it. I forget who was doing that.
Interesting. But I think
But
this is more
somebody
along the, if you like or favorite a person's IndieWeb URL, this would be like when you publish it, you're publishing if you publish it, I should say, you're publishing a list of here's a quick description of why I favorited them or what they're good at, what I recommend of them, right?
Yeah, but the thing is that you have the scope. So he was mentioning how it comes down to I hate this person or I like this person, but sometimes it's more granular where you only like one thing they did and you hate the rest of them.
And also, it doesn't mean that, for example, I block something or a follow or not follow. For example, let's say that now something is happening in Turkey. I say all the people who are tagged Turkey, I want them at the top of a list or something. And it's all user side. Like the user has checkboxes or something, or...
But I don't have to tell, let's say that I don't want to see any more news about something, I don't have to tell everybody else I don't want to see that news.
Yeah.
I can keep it to myself.
This is supposed to be client side. Like suppose all the users get, for example, some setting of checkboxes. They can turn on or turn off or move up or down in priority.
So that seems
maybe
fine, but you're talking about all the users. But what about this is client side, so you can just do it on yourself, right? Like I don't understand.
Client side could be browser.
Yeah. But you can do this right now, right?
But doesn't that mean that in order to make sure that nobody knows that I don't want to see news about Turkey, that I have to continue to request news about Turkey so that the server thinks I still get it?
Yeah.
So I hide myself and hide that I don't like something in order to fit in with the rest of the world who wants to know about Turkey.
Yeah, I'll try to look for a URL. Just a moment. Notorious. Need an ID. Where is Notorious? It's still like talk. It's not code, but wait. Why is everything so slow? Because I'm in Thailand. It's not even Tor. Okay, found it. Copy. Link. And now, Notorious user side reputation management.
So what stops you from having 5 different IDs and having a long conversation with yourself?
You could do that too. It could be even good tactics so that people don't suspect that it's the same person.
Well, on one level that's good if you want to keep parts of yourself separate from each other, but that just also creates a problem of you agreeing with yourself and then creating other identities in order to support your agreement, which
That's a Sibyl attack. That's what is called a Sibyl attack. Like if, for example, you have the resources to manage 1,000 different identities and you have like AI algorithms that tell them what to do and to like what each other said and whatever, you can create trends.
Yeah, but as a user of a system, I don't necessarily want to experience that. I want to know that the people I'm talking to, even if I don't know who they are not the same as other people. So I want to.
Who got divorced twice, I can tell you that when I meet a woman, I want to know that she is really fit to be my wife, and twice I was wrong so far. So, like, we need to supply tools that let people make the decision, and once they made them, like they want to block somebody, they block that person, and if they want or don't want to publicize it, they have the choice.
I think that one may be harder on IndieWeb, at least with the whole idea of sending web mentions to other sites. If you're blocking web mentions, there's no way to block them so that you don't see them, but the person who sent them thinks that they're there.
Unless you change the way people view things. Suppose I go and theoretically I could see all the spam, but I don't see it because the default setting is the preferences of the owner, the moderator. So when you moderate, you say this is spam, this is a recommendation. You think it's spam. And then people can do their own personal settings and save them at home, client side. And play with this. So, for example, you could be somebody who is like very politically correct, and everybody who says nigger, you've got an algorithm that mutes those people. Okay, it's fine with you, and then people come and search for nigger and unmute them. So it's like.
I mean, that's an interesting idea. It's definitely possible. People would still be coming to the site, and I don't see it would do much for in the spam sense of, all the person has to do is create another account, connect in, and say, oh, okay, my things are getting flagged as spam. Because it could, you know what I mean?
No, but I think that if somebody wants to create a good impression, let's assume, for example, that you have a policy that first 3 comments are moderated. So this person has to act like a person for free comments, and even later on, you can change your decisions. If it's like a backstabbing attack, where you start manual and then you put a robot on it. So, like you have the tools to manage all this. So you can make it very hard to build reputation. Like, let's say, for example, that people get endorsements, and I could query that and sort them by endorsements, and also endorsements of my friends, not just people I don't know, because maybe it's a Sybil attack. So, like, we could do quite a lot of it, but it's the whole thing is like privacy by design is to start by making it unclear for people who are looking from the side and doing traffic analysis or whatever, what is it that we are watching and what is just hidden in JavaScript. I think this is brilliant.
Okay, I am actually. How are we doing on time right now?
It's currently, let's see, we're at 1, so at least Eastern time, which is what I'm on, and actually you're on. So let's see, we have 2 hours until the scheduled group photo as a collage and lunch break, which is a 30-minute break scheduled between 3 and 3:30 Eastern, or approximately 2 hours from now. So please convert for your own time zones. So we have 2 hours and 3 remaining sessions. So
Okay.
do we want to adjourn this session and move to the next one? Or do we want to continue with this, which we can do?
I think we've covered it pretty well, and we've started to kind of wander off topic a little too much at this point.
Okay. Well,
which is fine, but...
Well, anybody who wants to summarize the discussion further, we have the session page up. There's a section there for the security. You can add in some of the discussion in future. Dora, do you have anything to add? I guess not.
She got camera shy.
So,
how do I capture? I don't know Google at all. How do I capture?
We played with it recently. If you hit the capture button, it's effectively allowing you this. It creates a little camera icon at the bottom, and if you hit it, it effectively takes a picture.
Yeah, I see.
Everybody starts playing with it again. So what other sessions do we have? We've got the messaging, we've got...
Yeah, so messaging is next, micropub, and then design. So you proposed messaging, which...
Yes. Oh, sorry.
There's...
We could do messaging now, we could do micropub or design. I'm up for any of them. I guess we'll... Messaging? Fine.
Okay.
Okay.
I will let you take the lead on that, and I will just step back and try to document as I can.
Okay. So I guess the current implementations are just, create a post that's private to someone and web mention them. And that works, but I know not many people, or at least I haven't, supported, receiving those private messages. And it's also a manual act to have to go to their site, view the. Somebody just took a photo of me. But,
Wasn't me.
view the comment that had been sent to you. If you web mention, that can work, but you have to have some way for your site to automatically log into theirs. And I think we had tested this at one point. It's possible if you run your own authentication provider that, say I want to send a private message to David. I generate an auth key, I believe. I'm trying to remember the terminology without pulling it all up. But I generate a code to send to his site to say, here's how to log in. Here's what to use to generate a private key so you can get access to my site. Aaron, I believe we did this.
What are
didn't
you
we?
describing here?
Remember we were testing a while back, getting your site to automatically be able to log into my site server to server, without user interaction.
Oh yeah.
I believe you had to generate. You had to have your own Indie Auth provider, right? Because you had to tell it to generate a key to send to me.
Right. I had to explicitly choose an IndieAuth endpoint.
Yeah.
Do you remember where we documented this?
I don't. I don't know that we did.
Well, there's a messaging page here under IndieWebCamp.com/messaging, which has brainstorming and some discussion in the wiki. There's an out-of-date page that documents here, and we have IndieWeb perspectives, email, private messaging.
IndieWeb-messaging.
Yeah, which is noted as this page is out of date and needs to be updated.
Yeah. I mean, that's the last I've honestly seen of it. There, I think that's it. Server-side tokens in IndieWeb messaging. Waiting for a message to site to generate an IndieAuth token. Yeah, that looks like what we're doing. But I guess the only way we figured it out was you would have to be running your own IndieAuth provider, which is obviously not exactly preferable. It's doable, but if like IndieAuth.com had some way to, from the server itself, say, hey, I'm this server, I'm Ben. That must be .me. Can you generate a code for me that I can pass off to someone else, rather than requiring that they log in and authenticate through, a Google Plus or a Twitter or something like that. I think if we just implement that piece, then it's possible to have that my server sends a message to your server, here's your key to get into my server, and now here's a message. When it sends a web mention, either we follow the protocol that was there, which was when you get to my page, I return something saying not authorized, but essentially, I'm trying to remember what it was. 401 not authorized, and then that says to come back with a key that'll let you in. Problem is now you're sending 2 messages back and forth for every time you want to view someone's, note to you. I think the best would probably be modification to web mention to include something saying, hey, I web mentioned you, but you're going to need to authenticate. So send me that authentication key. All right? Because you want to keep that latency of back and forth as low as possible. And then it's just a matter of, web mentioning in real time, getting your comment, getting those comments to display in real time. And that would essentially be a server-to-server side, instant messaging. Just trying to keep it as instant as possible. I think where that really gets interesting is if we were to try and do like IndieWeb chat, do a instant messaging between multiple people, multiple users, and that's where it starts to get really complex. Of, are you web mentioning everyone in the chat room? Do you only?
How about using a aggregator or hub?
That was my next thing. Is it would be easier, but then I guess the hub would then web mention out to everyone else to whole new updates to the room.
So I guess this goes back to, is it really worth trying to recreate a real-time chat protocol over HTTP?
I think private messaging is a more reasonable goal. Once you get into live chatting, you have a lot of protocols that you could use, and you could extend those protocols
Right.
in terms of authenticating using your site. So IndieAuth could be used to authenticate to some sort of existing protocol and establish real-time communications that way, and then pipe, let's say, a log of that back to whichever site is necessary, as opposed to using that as the platform. For static messaging, it actually seems like it would work very well, but for dynamic messaging in real time, that seems like it's going to create more of a problem.
Mm-hmm. I think it might be an interesting exercise to try to set up a Jabber server that can be where your domain is the identity, for example. So you authenticate with the Jabber server, with your Jabber server, using IndieAuth in your domain. That's one way to enable that. But I think a more reasonable goal for us here is the sort of Twitter DM style short messages, private messages to one person, rather than trying to treat it as a chat.
Okay. I mean, I plan to eventually implement, pull in all my chat history back to 2002 into my site and just keep it all private. And that's the thing I was trying to say, if I can get it to the point where I don't need some software to log into these things, or to, I don't need a Jabber client. I can just do it through my all one unified page or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
That was where I was thinking of moving.
Well, there may be ways to do that, but still using the underlying technology that's already established.
Yeah, like some gateway that gives you REST API to your Jabber or something. I'm sure there are things like this. Not that I can tell you now what, but I think I've heard of REST APIs to IRC, to Jabber.
Huh. That would be definitely pretty interesting. How
do you do the wiki things? In the wiki you have the IRC. How do you do it?
In the wiki? Oh, the
log?
The beta page, you mean? Or the...
Yeah.
Aaron, I think that's all WebSockets, right?
Yeah, that's using WebSockets right now, although I might change that soon to server-sent events because it's simpler. But really it's using a WebSocket to show the channel messages, push them to the browser, and then when you type something in the box, it's really just making a post request to the server, which is actually an IRC client. So that's it's like a Node app that's an IRC client that joins the channel for you.
The other thing was being able to centralize. The other desire for it was being able to centralize my communications with a person. But I guess if you're feeding logs back, it's not that big of a deal. I do have one thing to show you that I've been kind of messing with, which I've shown in demos. So, gonna just take over here. Yeah, let's present that one. Okay, so if you go to my site right now, Tantec has been very much pushing for static, not static, just do the contacts page. I have a contact page that we're working on saying, okay, here's, oops, I'm logged in right now, so you see more info. But it has things like my AIM, username, everything. And if you go to this from a cell phone, it'll be, look much nicer and look like idea is to make it look like a page on your phone type of thing. My hope was to have message directly here from IndieWeb versus anything else, rather than having 6 and 7 different messaging protocols. Be like, here, send me a message through IndieWeb. But I guess that is just at some point your message, leave a post on my site. But one of the newest things I've been working on, so I'm getting off topic here. The idea was, again, getting this into a contact list, because I want to be able to pull up a contact list and say, oh, okay, message this person, send a direct message to this person, and I guess we can do that through whatever system is there. But one of the things I've been working on is, actually this page, which I haven't touched in a while, and only has Twitter icons, but it's actually a rip out of Firefox OS. I've been trying to mess with their home screen app. So the idea would be that would look exactly like a home screen on my page or on my cell phone, and then I will actually just have icons of users here that I can then click on, and scrolling is not working. But have a list of people's faces here, have all my contacts merged in, be able to click them, and then just send a direct message all from in this little one app that's on my phone. I don't have to mess with anything, I'm tired of installing apps. Facebook messaging is terrible. AIM just sucks my battery life down. All of them do. But
I'd leave AIM if not for the fact that I have 5 people who refuse to leave AIM.
Yeah, I know. They use AIM at my office.
It sounds like you work at a progressive organization.
Actually,
I say that working at an organization that is not very progressive. We just got email.
Oh, jeez.
Not literally. We just decided to talk to the public with email after years of refusing to talk to the public over email.
I've kind of forced them to start using Slack, and that was a big change. And only 4 of us are using it, but at least those are logged publicly and are logged for privately within the company, publicly within the company, whatever. But yeah, I mean, that's one thing I wanted to show, and I know this kind of snowballs into David. You were trying to work on the identity management portion of things.
Well, I've been trying to work on it, and as I said, my biggest problem is not that I couldn't implement something, but I wanted to work within the framework that I'm using, WordPress, and I keep going back and forth. Do I want to create 50 million user accounts and decide that every time somebody logs into my site they become a user in the WordPress sense, or do I want to do it separately and keep all that separate from the existing system? And I keep going back and forth on that, and I know I've probably mentioned it enough times in the IRC chat how much it is bothering me because I can't decide how big my user table should be.
That's a good question.
Does WordPress have a way to relay to something external like LDAP or one of those identity monsters?
It probably could. Everything's extensible. I'm not sure if somebody's done it. Let me have a look. There's a plugin for everything nowadays. Let's see. Yes, you can have an LDAP login. You can pretty much log in with anything because if somebody's written a plugin for it. And from the looks of it, I have about 5 plugins just from the search WordPress LDAP come up.
But those seem to be logging in via WordPress or via LDAP. I think what he's getting at is being able to use LDAP as the identity management for your,
Yeah, the question is, could you control LDAP from WordPress, and would any sysadmin let you control LDAP through WordPress?
If I'm a sysadmin, yes. But then I have to set up LDAP.
I mean, I would go for a larger user table and just say anybody who I've allowed to post on my site, go ahead. That for me again, is a user. But
there's different levels of users.
Well, that would be the lowest level user. I mean, honestly, anybody who the way I do it now, as I said with the whitelisting for Vouch, anybody who I link to, I think I'm going to enter into my list of, quote unquote users. Their login to my site may be completely unrelated. I doubt it, because I think that list is actually what's going to control what they can see of my contact info. So I'll say all these people I'll filter into a group of close friends. If they log into my site, they get, my street address, they could, get my phone number. Versus, okay, these people are online friends, they get all my instant messaging platforms or other sites I'm on, things like that. But anybody who I've linked to that I'm whitelisting, I would have as in that list as potentially they have, I can grant them access to something extra.
Yeah, it should be more than just white. It's like a whole authorization scheme. Whatever the platform allows, whatever granularity, like this guy can post on the sports section.
Yeah, that depends on the type of site you're doing. For this, I'm talking a blog, so I'm not going to let anybody post directly, other than as web mentioned links or web mentioned comments. But yeah, I don't see there being any issue. You're saying like if somebody logs in just out of the blue through IndieAuth to my site, do I store that as a user kind of thing?
Well, that seems excessive. I would say that it has to go at least one level above that.
Yeah, definitely.
That's a way of logging in. But I was going for if I replied to something from them and if I approved something that they sent to me. So if there was at least some communication between us, then they might end up being a user, which means they could theoretically be allowed to log in later.
Yeah.
Yeah, login is just saying who you are. It doesn't give you any rights. Just who you're dealing with.
Which is I just was trying to figure out how to put it into the user table and when, which is what I've been thinking about for the last probably months or so.
Oh, just try one. Just try one of them.
I'm all for I'm all for just using whatever WordPress uses, because if you have like another different system for people who are not important enough to be users, and then like I do the whole logic of authorization and whatever, authentication, ACL and whatever, WordPress already has a mechanism for it, and they are debugging it, they are peer reviewing it, or whatever. It's not a wheel you want to reinvent.
Well, for me, I've been in the interim moving towards it by moving the 3 plugins that I have all towards a common language so that they can all use whatever they put in.
So what are the 3 plugins again?
One is the taxonomy plugin, which does reply contexts. Then there's another one which enhances comments based on the semantic linkbacks plugin. And then the third one is one that no one's seen, which is an HCard plugin for WordPress. No one's seen it.
That's right, I remember.
That's the one that's right now. It does a widget, but there's a bunch of code in there that hasn't been released that's designed to start bringing HCards into the WordPress environment.
I remember.
So the idea is 2 of those would be dependent on the third one.
Yeah. I remember now, because you're basically storing a centralized HCard table, basically, right?
Well, that's what I haven't been storing it. I've been trying to figure out. I wrote the functions, but I didn't actually put any code in them. So I figured out exactly how I want it to work. I just haven't figured out where I want to store it.
Yeah, I mean, I store every post has its own info from that. So the author info is stored with the comment on my site or the reply context. So yeah, there is a lot of duplication of info if I'm constantly replying and talking to the same person over and over again. I definitely see that.
If I rename myself, if I comment and then I rename myself and comment again, you know both, right?
Yeah, I would know both. He's talking about like keeping it centralized so it would update the one and update both. It would update your author entry.
And I suppose if you're suggesting that there should be a merge function.
Yeah, I think that merges should also be subjective. Like you should also have a theory. Like I think these 2 users are the same guy, and I'm not telling others.
Well,
tentative merges.
As the person in charge of the site, that would be my decision. If I decide you and let's say Ben over there are the same person, and I merge you, then from my perspective, you're the same person. I may not be right,
Yeah.
but if I'm treating you that way, then I'm treating you that way.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sold on like updating, storing the H card centrally like that, just because I don't know.
That's why I keep going back and forth and changing my mind, which is why I keep building the code and not building in where I'm storing it.
Yeah.
I keep working on other parts of the project while I try to make a final decision.
Yeah, I don't think I'd store H cards centrally, only because I could potentially be getting a ton of comments from people that I don't need in my, my user list or contact list or what have you. Because chances are I'll never mention, ideally I get thousands of hits, and people start commenting galore. I'm never going to mention those people.
Well, that's why I ended up with the hybrid idea that the storage has some sort of threshold where I'm saying I communicate with this person regularly, I'm going to add them to the database, otherwise it's just going to not cache anything.
Huh.
So let's say you are somebody I talk to regularly, you're added to my database and I store information on you. Whereas, and again, I know that sounds bad, especially from a privacy perspective, but it's more of a convenience thing. So then it can start auto-filling in your name. So if I start typing in Ben, it knows that you're the likely Ben I'm talking about.
Yeah. Huh.
So it's sort of the getting to the down the road to autocomplete.
So if I want to find out what are the people called Ben that you know in order to sting you later?
Well, remember, this is for my use. The autocomplete would be on the inside.
It's not like for casual users.
No, because you'd be posting on your own site and then you'd have your own information.
Yeah, so essentially it is, it's not exactly client-side from the sense of you don't need a search warrant to copy the disk, but conceptually it is client-side.
Yeah, it's my personal implementation, but since I tend to put all this stuff up, it could be somebody else's if they use the same plugin that I'm developing.
And I'm talking about server-side versus client-side, which means like it could be running on your phone if you wanted.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I would certainly want to share information on the phone. I carry it around.
Yeah, if you want to share, like if you separate between the two things, the things you want to share, which is similar to what a block roll does, or could be a lot more elaborate, then things you want to know yourself, and you can dump the phone into the river when you see the sirens, when you hear the sirens. Like two different things.
I'm hoping the government isn't coming after me. The only time the government
Everybody
seems
does.
to care about me is when they make me take off my shoes when I go through airport security.
Yeah.
I'm fine. They had my fingerprints.
No,
They know who I am.
It's a valid point, though. You don't want to post. I mean, anything you want to keep completely private, probably not a good idea to even though you're keeping it, quote unquote, private to your login. You just don't put it on your server.
Yes, I think that the system should be like privacy by design. You should have a way which looks maybe nice on your phone and integrated to separate between what you want to keep encrypted on your disk and what you want everybody to know, because this is the list of my employees, or these are the people I recommend that you should hire, or things that are, like could be very important things, but you could even sign them, or charge for signing them, or whatever, something that is very, very public. And there should be a separation between them, between interesting and recommend, what both people call follow.
Well, I promise that if I store any information on any of you, I won't store it publicly.
Oh, I already stored your list. A link to your site publicly. I say, here's my whitelisted people.
Yeah, but I'm saying if there's information that you've declared, well, that's actually another interesting question. How do you indicate on your site that if there's information that you are willing to share because somebody's authenticated, but you don't want that information to be made public? How do you mark it up appropriately?
Well,
That is a legitimate question.
I think by default, if it's requiring login.
Yeah, but if you're reading the page and you're logged in, you don't necessarily know which information will be shown to non-logged in people unless it's marked up.
That's actually something that was something I was talking about again back at the private messaging, because one of the ways of getting around that dual send of a web mention, or rather of a pulling down the reply context, is if I'm replying to something, or if I receive a web mention of something that is private, I have to send another request again with the login information so that I can get that private data down. That's one way, is if you are, like, say I'm replying to something, right? If my site tries to go to their page, pull down what I'm replying to, sees that it's private, it goes, oh, okay, it knows right away it's private. If I had to provide login, now I know not to display that publicly because they said, hey, this is private, don't just copy this text and replay it.
Well, I'm more thinking of individual discrete bits of information. Let's take your contact page where the public version doesn't show your phone number, for example, and the private one does.
Okay.
So shouldn't there be something embedded in the page that says, this is information I'm sharing with you?
I don't know that you need it embedded, because the only place you're embedding that information, or the only reason you would need it embedded, is if the software pulls it, knows that it has to.
I know, that seems like an important bit of information. Like if
you
I've
got
made
that
a request to your page and I see a bunch of contact details, I don't know by looking at that which ones you consider viewable only to me.
You do though, because you had to request it with login.
Maybe but I requested it with a login and I just see a bunch of stuff. I don't know what it looks like.
Well, then you'd have to request two versions of the page, and then you'd have to compare the two.
Yeah, well, that's what I was getting at. If you always send that login information every time, you don't know that distinction.
Yeah, that's my point. Probably at some point, requests will be made unprompted, without authentication. So I actually have an example of this with the private message that I send, where the private message that I send actually lists who I sent it to. So anybody looking at that page will see this is visible only to these people. And so that's an example of that way it looks different to you than a public post. So if you come to my site and come to that page and didn't realize that you were logged in, you would still know that it was a private post.
Yeah, but that's only that's not any kind of microformat distinction.
It's marked up with microformat.
Yeah, it's just front end markup basically. It's HTML markup.
Yep.
Well, that was what I was suggesting. There should be something to define that.
Yeah, there should be some microformat to define that and say, like, as the example of my contact list page, I would be fine putting like an extra microformat into, the link with my phone number to say, hey, this is private information, don't share publicly. Or this is privileged information, I suppose.
That was basically what I was suggesting.
Maybe you could do that in JSON, in REST, like you don't have the phone, you have a URL where you can often get the phone, and you can get sorry, not for you.
Well,
that's basically exactly how it works right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're already logging in to get that information. But the thing is, how do I let them know, like, now that you're logged in, don't share this information? Because that login might be done automatically by the computer, by the software.
There is a German system called Cindy, where everybody has a private key, public key, and they don't even have a browser. They have a browser-like thing, where links look different. So in that system, what you send is encrypted to all the keys of all the people who should see this. And this is how I store this. So if I want to send it to my friend and I'm not hacking into it or something, I will just send the same thing. And my friend will say, oh, sorry, I couldn't open it.
It's essentially the same thing, just using encryption instead of bearer tokens, really.
Yeah.
The end result is approximately the same.
Yeah, but since it is less web, it's more like an NTP. It's something that packets that are going around people. So, but yeah, essentially it's the same thing.
I mean, I'd be fine proposing some encryption to, or to microformats to say, privileged information or something like that. Or just
Well, the silo example is those buttons that say, "Who can I share this information to?" It's what only you, friends, and etc. that they use.
well,
How
that's
do you reproduce that?
So here's a question. Google
different-
Plus is actually probably one of the biggest examples that actually does this right now of selective sharing. When you're looking at a Google Plus post, I don't actually know this. Somebody who uses it more might be able to answer. But is there an indication of who it was shared with?
yes,
when
there
somebody
is.
looking at
Well,
it?
in fact, that's different of like where I'm sharing it with. But there's also when I try and reshare something that somebody posted privately to me, it actually has a pop-up that'll say, "Hey, this was posted privately. Think about what you're doing. This person only shared it with."
That's great. That's definitely worth. Okay, so here's what it sounds like. It sounds like we need a wiki page for this and start collecting these examples.
Yeah, okay. What should the page be called, though?
Do we already have something about private information or
There's
selective sharing?
there's private messaging, I think, but that's all.
Yeah, but this is
Yeah, it's
private.
not quite messaging. This is
We have private posts, private conversation.
Yeah. I'd create it as like private.
private posts. I think sounds right.
Yeah, but that's the entire post as opposed to a percentage of the post.
I think it's the same idea for both, right?
Yeah. I mean, we could
I
make
think
that.
there's a conceptual problem here. Let's say the phone number. You say, okay, you give me my phone number. Now you want me not to share it to anybody else, or you want to tell me who to share it to and who not, because that could be dangerous when I know some distinction.
Well, I'm not requiring you to do anything. This is me providing you with information about my intent. If I wanted to make sure that you didn't do anything, I wouldn't share it with you in the first place.
Yeah, this I agree. You know, everybody can take a photo of a camera of a screen and send it by fax, so
Yeah.
you cannot block that. The thing is like how to prevent things from automatically happening. So I think that it's like for your eyes only. Could be, sort of. If I want to send it to somebody else, I will do that. It's not your concern, but this is for your eyes only.
Yeah.
So we're talking about just one binary distinction here.
Well, there could be multiple binary distinctions. One could be for your eyes, and the other could be, I don't know, what's between, I don't care who you send this to, and I only want you to look at it. Is there
This is for your eyes only, for example. You have in GPG, for example, an implementation that forces to show this in a way that you cannot copy paste and very smeared so that it's hard to see in cameras and stuff. So,
well, right now that's you're thinking of it from an implementation. I'm talking about a different set of categories that each site can implement differently.
I think.
So what I'm saying is, if I give it to you and my intention is do whatever you want with it, that's the default. And if I say this is for your eyes only, it means that implementations should make it as clear as possible, show it in a different CSS, make sure people don't copy paste it, so it's like it stops you from doing it, something like this.
Yeah.
That's why I was asking, is there anything in between?
I think so. I think the idea would be between those is kind of like what Aaron does. If he sends a private message to some set of people, it says, here are the people who it was shared with. you know, and whether
this
you
is
display
leaking.
them.
This is leaking metadata.
It is, but it's his choice to display
You
that
don't
or
have
not.
to show who it was shared with entirely. You can just show the target, the one target. So you don't have to leak everything. You just have to show that it was shared with the person that's reading it.
That's his choice of displaying, whether it's, you know, he shared it with you or he shared it with you and someone else. That's basically, he could be intending to leak that metadata to you to say, it's fine that you talk about it with this
Like
person if it's there.
CC and BCC.
Exactly.
And any tag like that can also be dynamic. Since you're logging in, you could deliver whatever privacy information you want to whoever you're delivering it to. And I could tell Ben, for example, I only want these 3 people to see it, or I could tell somebody else something completely different.
So it'd be great if we could maybe during one of the hack sessions, documenting screenshots. There's a section on the wiki already, turns out, for this kind of stuff.
A private post one. So.
Yeah, and there's a section called Silo Examples, which is be a good place to add it.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at my Google Plus, and I don't even have everything that I have is publicly.
Oh, somebody's making on this one. Oh, there we go. Okay.
Want to make one minor amendment? Sure.
So how are we?
Every time we talk about something, I open up another tab. I'm not going to have a lot of these open by the end of the day. But we're now at 1:40. Let's round it 1:45 Eastern. Next scheduled event again is at 3:30, which is the group photo and lunch break, which means we have 2 more topics and approximately 1 hour and 15 minutes. So the next scheduled topic is micropub, unless we have anything more in the messaging category. I seem to have lost audio. Or everybody's being quiet again.
I think everybody's being quiet.
I muted my mic and forgot.
Okay.
I think that's good for me.
Okay, so the next topic is micropub. I'll take a moment and add a little to the messaging section in the sessions thing while you're starting up with micropub.
Sure. So I guess what I wanted to talk about here is, I guess, for formalizing the full CRUD support for micropub, which we're very close on, and I know. I actually forgot who it was. There's one implementation that supported full CRUD. Was that you, Ben?
Yes, it was.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, so I guess, do you want to describe how you are handling that right now? So micropub, as it stands on the wiki page right now, it's pretty well specified for create. There's a little bit of notes on there about updating, but there's nothing in there about deleting yet.
Yeah, so the way I do it on mine right now is basically if I, hold on, let me pull up my micropub endpoint here. And I can actually show you exactly how I do it. Present to everyone and screen share. Okay. Let's say I log in. So this is my micropub endpoint that I kind of hacked together.
So you've got 3 scopes: post, edit, and delete. Okay.
Yes, I added separate scopes for those because I can do all 3. And actually, I don't know if undelete is really worth a scope or not, because it's really kind of a repost
Kind
almost.
of post. But actually,
Yeah.
it's more about, wait, if you can delete, you should be able to undelete.
Yeah. So let me, okay, title Batman. That's auto-completing, sure. Best post. I'm going to delete. Let me just create that real quick. Okay, so if I go to my page, I should automatically see. There we go, test point I'm going to delete. So I can either delete it from here, which doesn't do much other than just auto-populates that. Oops, you probably can't see that because it pops up in a new window. But auto-fills this where all I do is provide that permalink. Now it does this when it posts, it just posts to my micropub endpoint with that URL, UID, and I don't know if you can see the inspector. Yeah. It's literally named URL, and then it also has, I actually include explicit what command I'm doing, which I believe is called action. I'm not sure offhand. I have it documented on the wiki as to what I do, but I'll explicitly tell it the action I'm doing is delete and not create or not update or anything like that. Same thing with edit. It actually manually will say, here's the URL that I'm editing, and any fields that aren't blank, it will update. The only thing I don't have is how to actually specifically tell it to remove a field. Like if I want to remove a title, I can't actually edit that because it'll just see it as I didn't fill that in as something I want to change. I'd have to fill it in as a space or something like that.
So you have no difference between a key with an empty value and no key present? Correct.
At least for right now. I mean, if I click a link to actually edit from here, it will let me do it this way so you can see it, because by default it pops that in a new window. It will actually pre-populate. We're supposed to pre-populate everything. Apparently it didn't grab the title, but it is intended to pre-populate all the fields, and that way I would just edit whichever one I want, and I could remove the field. But yeah, right now, because I have so many fields that I don't use most of them, I just found it was easier, like I'm only usually editing one field and not just removing a field. So I found it was easier to just say, okay, if this is present, then I'm going to update that field. Otherwise, I don't touch any of the others. I'm trying to remember where that was most important.
Why not have a remove checkbox near each field?
What was that?
A remove checkbox near the field.
That'd be interesting. So an actual explicit way to say delete this field.
Yeah, that could definitely. Oh, and just to complete my display of this, by the way, if I do delete, if I do actually delete a post, it'll delete from the logged out menu, or from everyone else's view, but I can see it's deleted and just undelete from there.
That's great.
So it's an explicit undelete as well. And again, it's whatever that action, or I'm trying to remember exactly what I use to specify. Stop screen sharing.
Do we have any examples of other of silos that allow removing specific pieces of a post?
Specific pieces of a post?
Just to talk about this like deleting just the title thing. I can actually think of one. Maybe I can take a screenshot of it really quick. I just did this yesterday. It's Gumroad, where you can add like Gumroad's like a payment processor for selling online content. You can actually add like custom fields into your form when you're creating the payment form. So then deleting those fields is that the form field goes away in the editing interface after you've deleted it. So it's not actually a checkbox, although it would be just easy to make it a checkbox that like removes the field.
Yeah, I mean, all it'll do is
Anyway, silos and deleting, it's a bit contradictory, you know, because they don't just tell you they've deleted. Like
That's
if you
not
own it, you
not
know.
really important for this though. I mean, also Ben's thing doesn't actually delete, which is by design, because you ideally have a way to undelete something, which implies it can't actually be deleted.
Yeah.
And undelete's a really important part of interfaces as well, which is often overlooked.
I can't think of any examples though that you can delete a specific field, mostly because like I don't know that many interfaces that use more than just like here's the content, you know, other than like Twitter, Facebook.
How about like removing a photo from a tweet you're posting?
That would, that's a good question. I've never tried.
If you start attaching a photo and then don't actually tweet it and then delete the photo.
You can remove a preview on Facebook.
Yeah, right. Another good one.
Yeah. I'll do
This
that.
is happening client side. It's like writing a link and then not and then deleting the text.
I guess in both those cases it's before the post was created, but I feel like it would still be similar interaction if it was already created.
Oh, is it? Oh. Yeah, you're right. I was thinking you could do it after.
How about can you remove location information from a tweet or from a Facebook post after the fact?
Tweets won't let you that, and I don't know about Facebook.
I think of other examples of. Oh, here's an example. Google Plus removing a circle that a post is shared with would be the similar interaction, right?
It's not exactly because it's not like a post. It's not a bit of information. It's ACL definitions.
Yeah, but I mean, as far as that looks on the page, it is a piece of information that shows up on the page that you can remove. What it's actually doing is acting as an ACL, but it is information associated with that post.
I think the difference is conceptual, even if you're not a computer person. You know, sort of, these are my contacts, these are my groups, or things like this, as opposed to this is what they said. You know, it's two different concepts.
I feel like they're similar enough that it's useful to include this in the research of the interface. Since you do have to, it's presented in the same interface as attaching additional content is to list these circles, which are pieces of content on the post.
Yeah. You're right. I understand now. I mean, there's circles, but
actually, this screenshot I'm going to post is a great example of it because it actually looks like another piece of information you're adding to the post in this.
Yeah.
Here's the link.
What about attachments? Like, can you delete attachments?
Let's see. So I can add a link. Yeah, this is perfect. There is a little X next to the
Yes,
link.
yes,
that was added.
Yeah.
And then after it goes and touches the link, it gives me a remove button.
Yeah.
So, and I can even remove the photo from the link, separately from the link itself.
Oh.
So, okay, so this is a good example of an explicit remove button in the interface.
Did you notice the option to disable comments and disable reshares right from there?
I don't have that in this that I'm looking at.
Well, do you see where there's a little pull down on the thing where it says public?
Yeah.
If
Oh,
you pull that down, there's a menu, disable comments and disable reshares.
wow.
Because disabling comments on your own site is actually very easy, but how do you tell other people that you don't want them to share something from the original post? That goes back to that other microformats question. Even on a public page, you can say you don't want people to do something.
I think that the paradigm of eyes only in PGP could work in a sort of first you just say class equals eyes only or whatever, to just say that this is the bit, and then we should work on implementations that make it clearer to the user this you don't share, and from there there is street wisdom. What does it
What
mean?
you have one which is enforcing, you have the other which is voluntary. So it goes back to on a public post.
It's voluntary any way you look at it. It's voluntary any way you look at it, but it could be helpful. Like, let's say, for example, that I take all the text and I just show it to you as a GIF, just as an example. So this would drive a clear message of do not type this and send to somebody. Just as an example, this is similar to eyes only.
I just found a really great example of the Google Plus post. Now that I've posted it, actually gives me a X. It added a hashtag for me, and it gives me an X on that hashtag, so I can remove the tag from the post after it's been created.
Oh yeah, because it will auto tag a bunch of stuff, and users immediately complained about that.
Really?
Yeah. Well, because it was tagging things incorrectly. So it was like as soon as they implemented it, they also implemented removing tags.
Okay. Right after they've been created.
Yeah. Because I mean, tags.
And the screenshot of that, which is this last one here. Okay, so I don't know if one silo example is enough to go on, but I'm pretty convinced by this. I feel like it's pretty well thought out. If we were to say, okay, the idea of having explicit interface elements that remove components of a post, that's something that we can then turn into essentially form elements and markup that can be turned into micropub.
The question is, would every edit to an element be its own, or remove of an element its own micropub request then, or is that just implemented in detail?
I think that's just. I think it could be, but I don't think it has to be.
Yeah.
How is the semantics defined? Like the DTD, what they call in XML. Sort of I want to micropub something. It has a title and what? How do I decide?
There's a whole section on the wiki thing called creating objects, which has a list of these fields that are recognized by endpoints. So you can provide things like name, content, publish state, categories, which is tags, in reply to URL.
So you have a language for this. There is a semantic definition. Cool.
Are you in the IRC channel now?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So the link is right there.
Okay. Okay.
It's just on the micropub page called Creating Objects.
Yeah.
So, okay, so Ben, your current implementation of editing, if you don't specify a value for a field, it won't change the value.
Correct.
So
Currently, I don't have a way to remove a field, only change the value of it.
if you were to create a way to remove a field by adding a checkbox that says remove this field, I would imagine you would put a little checkbox next to your form, next to the form element,
Yeah.
and you'd have to give it some name.
The question would be, what would the format for it be of that sending? Because by default, the form's going to send blanks for every field I don't touch.
Well, you have something here in the wiki, adding tags, possibility, add tags, remove tags, and then the tags replaces the current tag list with the given tag list. It's further down in the wiki.
Oh yeah, I'm not super sold on that, actually. I think that was just a quick thing I threw out there.
There's already a suggestion.
Yeah.
I mean, you could do a generic, like, remove field argument that would be, remove field equals name, comma, title, comma, whatever. Then you get all of your removes in one field.
Yeah, and you could do that in HTML pretty easily with the checkbox named remove. If we decide we're gonna support the whole idea of the square brackets in these form fields, then we can do like remove bracket name.
Well, that can be easily comma delimited. The only place where the square brackets really became necessary is with in reply to, because in reply to,
there's another example of where the square brackets are useful. Check out the custom syndication content section. So my endpoint doesn't support this right now, but my original interface before my non-micropub interface does support this, where when I'm composing a post, it auto creates a short Twitter version that fits under the character limit. It'll do smart truncation and things like that. But then I sometimes actually do go in and change the version that goes to Twitter separately from the post I'm creating. So that's what this is for, is to allow specifying the text of the post, but then different text that goes to syndication target. And in order to do that, you kind of need the square brackets as well to be able to specify the syndication target in the field.
Yeah. I mean, I think I don't know of any implementations that don't support square brackets.
Yeah.
And I tried in PHP because PHP was the main problem of why we can't just use the multiple copies of a field. It is possible to get PHP to do it, but there are extreme limitations on it. It's complex as hell.
Yeah, I think working. I mean, I think the square bracket thing, while it's not officially part of form encoding, it's at this point.
Yeah, common standard, common practice.
Does anything in Python support it?
Does what?
Is there Python support for it?
Python? I think so. I think didn't somebody do a test of this in every language?
I don't know. I'd imagine somebody has, but.
Where's Kyle? Or
From the looks of it, he has stepped away, but he has a lovely window shot.
We will have to ask him when he gets back, or find someone who.
I would assume there is.
I am pretty sure. Like, I don't see them not doing it. I think in other languages they just see it as the field happens to be named with a square bracket in the name of the field.
Yeah, when you write something to interpret it.
Yeah, and so it's something you have to process on your end after you receive it. It's not like it knows automatically that it's an array or something like that.
I guess that's less than ideal, but it's not a blocker really.
Yeah.
It's not like you have to do a lot of hacks at some other level of the stack. So I guess if we can just roll with the idea of using square brackets for things, then this is a great thing to use square brackets for.
Yeah.
So we would pick one name for the field that says of things to remove, and you could do like remove name equals 1 and remove location equals 1. So you could do something like that. After you check 2 checkboxes, that's what the result would be.
Well, no, yeah, you do. Oh, you can just do remove and then the checkbox field.
Oh, you can do remove bracket name.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe like the way Django does it,
There we go.
where you have like 2 underscores means that it's 2 different things. So like you have the name of your field and you start remove 2 underscores, or even 2 underscores remove 2 underscores and then name.
That's a pretty ugly hack. I mean, that's like now every implementation has to do custom parsing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Actually, I was thinking about it. No, I don't think other implementations do care about the square brackets. It's just that the field is named with square brackets in it. So in other words, PHP interprets delete square bracket, open close as the field name delete. It just is
PHP will into an array. PHP understands.
PHP understands it into an array. How it's sent over HTTP is as 2 copies of that field, just like the other one without square brackets.
Yeah.
Other implementations interpret it still as an array, but it's just that the name of the array is delete. Square bracket.
That's fine. Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, what I do with my endpoint right now for not in reply to, but syndicate to, is I send both with square brackets and without.
Oh my gosh.
It was actually pretty easy to add, but because I post to my page and then the server
And
actually sends out the
double underscore was an ugly hack.
Well, that's only because I wanted other people to be able to use it anyway, and I know we hadn't decided on whether square brackets were, okay or not for people.
So maybe I want to make a list of all the things that we need to resolve in Micropub for it to be considered, fully CRUD supported, including partial content. And then we can actually, brainstorm on the implementation of it or the spec of it later. So, because it's actually more than CRUD now is what we're talking about, because we have partial delete, right?
Yeah. Well, that's just update, really. That's just a subset of update.
Yeah, but it's worth specifying explicitly because otherwise it's easy to skip over. So there's adding updating, which is changing existing values. Updating, which is deleting values. Updating, which is adding new values, like adding tags.
Yeah.
Or adding location.
Then we've got delete the whole post, undelete the post. I'm trying to think if there's anything else, because create is straightforward.
Question is about adding a tag. Do you create a tag or you just update the post saying I'm changing the array of tags?
Right. That's a good question, because if you say tags equals, then does that replace the list, or is that adding to the list?
I would say that replaces if you specify anything.
Yeah, but anyway, so tags is an update with maybe byproducts of tags being created or deleted, but tags is an update. It's just like attachments and everything else.
Oh, I see the problem. The problem is that things like tags and syndication targets are actually have multiple values, whereas most other things have only one value.
Yeah.
So when you're talking about updating the name, it's obvious that that saying name equals this replaces the entire value. But
it's almost like it's an append versus an update.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how is the it sounds like the thing to address is
how do you specify
adding and deleting things that have multiple values?
Yeah. So I'd say the only two real options are you either say force them to pull down the list of all current values and add it onto the list, and so it's always replace the values. So you just have to check if it already exists. Okay, fine. Or you've got like another field that says whether this field is replace all versus append.
Yeah.
And then there's another category of things, which is syndicating, where syndicating actually not just editing the content, but actually doing an action, right? So, like, it's syndicating is not idempotent, right? Where I can say name equals test, and I can send the same name equals test again, and there's no change in the second version. But if I say syndicate to Twitter, and then syndicate to Twitter again, it's going to do it twice, right?
Yeah. That's why I actually.
That's not an update. That's an operation.
Yeah, exactly. So that's this other type of it's an operation. Is that worth a new action? So it's not an edit.
I would think so, because that's a drastically different use case. So like I want to perform some new operation on this, so re-syndicate to BBC, whatever.
Okay. So maybe action equals. Well, let's see. Are there any other actions like this that are irreversible?
Actually, I think that this should be more like messaging. It's not like create, update, delete. It's message somebody.
I think message is pretty loaded term.
Yeah.
Yeah. We need something like info.
It is almost a syndicate, right? So you've got create, update, delete, undelete, syndicate. As far as those are the 5 I really see right now.
Is there? I'm trying to think of if there's anything else that besides syndicate that is the same type of thing.
I mean, I could see maybe privacy, but I don't see that as being like something you can change. Like if you make a post public, okay, well now it's public. What use is it setting it private? But it is useful.
I think that's also just
sort of like a private syndication.
But that's really just editing the ACL, right?
Yeah.
It seems like it's still an edit.
I
Yeah,
don't
but
see.
there's something between syndication and messaging, which is like syndication is actually messaging to the public.
No,
Like
syndication doesn't have to be
NNTP
public
is
at
like
all. Syndication, you can syndicate to, a silo that is a private, that still keeps it private.
yeah,
Syndication just is this post is
yeah.
going somewhere that is not on this domain, right?
So the question is, if like I want to do some private messaging so that you get it to your site or even to your phone and everything is encrypted or I don't know what, is it a different? Like first, it's like syndication because it doesn't change the item; it just sends the item somewhere else. But it's something that is not create, update, delete. It's more like syndication. It's like send it to someone privately. Maybe share is the word for all of this.
I can't think of an example of doing that in micropub right now.
Yeah. I can't think of anything else at the moment.
I want to say, Allahu Akbar, everybody out, and start the revolution. And I want to say just to people who are interested in starting the revolution. This is an example, but maybe it's not the platform for this.
I mean, that could just be syndicating to a aggregator that supports that community, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be public.
Then it's centralized. It's a problem. Like in Cindy, what you would do is just you define a group, and then there's a list of keys, and it encrypts to all the keys, and finished. You don't care where the packets travel.
That's just an ACL. So you can create the post with an ACL. Okay, that's something that's not documented yet. Actually, on this is specifying visibility of a post.
After you finish ACL, then you have to inform. Maybe not. Maybe you're afraid of traffic analysis. Maybe
that would be, that would be web mention. So this is actually something where, right now, there's nothing about web mention specified in micropub. It's just sort of implied that after creating a post, the site will send web mention.
That's actually a good question.
Is that worth specifying?
Yeah.
Micropub request, like explicit. Send web mention.
Web mentions versus
where it doesn't send it otherwise, or I don't know. It doesn't really seem like it's part of micropub.
Yeah, but I could see that being very useful because I have a draft button, and I denote whether my post is a draft or not, and so I manually say, well, if it's a draft, then don't send web mentions.
That seems like the correct thing to do.
Yeah. But is there any other cases where that's where I wouldn't want to send web mentions?
Private?
And is that something where you would want that decision to come from the micropub request, or can you just make that decision in your endpoint?
Endpoint.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's try to get some decision is on the endpoint. I mean, if you really care about when you're sending it or not, you can have it moderated. So when you go back to your site and say, hey, I've got this list of posts. Yeah. You want to send all the web mentions for these. I don't see anybody doing that, but that's always an option.
Yeah. Okay, I think web mention is left out of this. It seems like it should just be up to the endpoint to decide how to handle it. Adding ACL support to the micro request is probably worth it, so that you can create private posts. That seems like a good idea. Which means it would be treated as one of those multiple value fields. So you could add and delete elements from the ACL.
Like circles.
Yeah.
First, when you delete something from the ACL, there is an illusion there. Because I could see it and now I can't see it, so you don't know whether I have seen it.
Yeah, that's fine.
But, okay,
that's the way it works.
You still minimize the damage.
Yeah.
Okay, is there? I'm looking through this page to see if there's anything else in here that's left as unspecified. Oh, we have this queue, this query ability. So right now, if you go to Quill and log in, it will actually query your microprobe endpoint to ask what syndication targets are supported.
Oh, yes.
Um,
I have not done that yet.
and that way, it'll give you checkboxes for the syndication targets, basically. Has anything else come up that you would want to query from the endpoint?
There was one that we actually implemented as a test. We were calling it, what was it? There's a page for it. MP
config?
Yeah. MP-config is,
Is that a page?
yes. Because it was kind of a mixing of, we're putting the IndieConfig stuff as a query from the micropub endpoint.
Right. I remember this. Okay. This is a list of actions that's returned.
Yeah, it's basically...
Which is interesting because we...
Give me a list of my micropub endpoints that I'm using, or that I prefer to use.
Interface endpoints.
Yes. So it wouldn't...
Micropub endpoints.
Yeah, sorry, interface. In micropub clients. And which client to use in which situation. But I could also see that being used as, hey, update my my client endpoint, or my client for the action of create to be this site. So say I go on to Quill, and I'm like, ooh, Quill is really nice, but it only supports posting notes. I want to be able to click a button and have it tell my site to set this as my default client for creating posts.
Right, okay.
You know what I mean?
What's the implication?
Interesting. So Quill would be able to be like, check this box to use Quill as your default note interface.
Creation, or, yeah, something along those lines.
What is the difference? Like, if it is not the default, would it look different?
No, just that when you're on somebody else's site and there's a reply button, for example, clicking that reply button would launch the interface specified by your own microprobe endpoint.
Yeah.
Ow! Got me good.
What was it?
Dora?
Yeah.
Our camera's pointed the wrong way.
He
So watch her.
doesn't like the idea.
You need to rotate your camera so we can watch her attack you. But yeah, I thought that would be an interesting extension because you can always use that same endpoint for the IndieConfig that that was set up previously.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just distracted by watching her trying to eat your zipper now.
Trying to figure out how zippers work.
Well, that's why I locked the camera on it. I don't think we're going to get anything done if we have that locked up.
Well, it's only yours. It's not presenting to her.
Yeah.
You'd have to do this.
What,
And
that?
then the stream has just live of Aaron's shirt getting attacked.
Everybody's snapping pictures.
Look. So, yeah.
As I said, we can't have a serious conversation while that's happening.
Dora, you're distracting.
There we go. Okay.
Just stop being cute.
Trying to think of if there's anything else to micropub that would really be added. I mean, I like that idea of being able to update and say, here's my list of clients, or be on a client and be able to dynamically update and use that as my default for only specific things.
Okay, so That's good. I think this is enough to go on for a while.
Yeah.
I might have to take a teeny break.
Um,
I'll post these notes on the wiki. I was just writing in a text file on my computer.
yeah.
And then try to make some progress on it.
Yeah, I figure we can always go back to the video, which will be live on YouTube
Yeah.
is now, I guess. We can go back and review for any notes we need. The last session we had proposed was... let's pull that back up because I think I closed the window.
It was design.
Which is to you, Dave.
Okay. Okay, welcome to the wonderful world of comments presentation, reply context, etc. Let's see where we are to start. Let's see, I have our reply context page up here somewhere. No, that was me looking for jQuery earlier. Every time we have a conversation, I pull up another window. I must have closed that one. So we have a page up on the wiki for reply context examples. So I will share, that's the Hangout. Here we are. So here are some examples of how people have implemented reply context. Scrolling down. And of course, if you can't see that clearly, I should paste that into the chat.
Yeah, I need to add my example on there because I don't have a screenshot of mine. But I do the recursive by context.
Do you have a URL we can?
There is. If you go back to the main part page, that just reply context. If you scroll down to recursive reply context.
Okay, this one here?
There's an example in there, yeah.
So there we are, that's reply context. The other one is, of course, comment presentation, which is how you would show off the other end. Now, as you may notice, there aren't as many visual examples here. I was looking for a page with that. I don't know if we have one on the...
I don't think we do.
Okay, yeah, because you have the example here. There's, and I think we have a few here. So there's comments presentation here. And then, of course, there was the infamous face file examples. So we have this one here. We have that one there, and we have that one's very nicely laid out. So one of the problems is there are so many different ways to do this and so many different ways to display it. I even went and looked at, here's an example of Twitter right now. I found this random post by a popular author. And here it has, basically, this would serve as comments. We have our retweets and favorites. And it doesn't, unless you look closely, it doesn't actually show you any detail of any of these people. That you have to click and deliberately pop up. Whereas that's another thing that isn't necessarily outlined in these implementations. How much information you can get looking on the page. For example, going to this example here, if I click through, I get that post there. Let's see what we get. Just looking at the different options. So part of the question that I was trying to answer, again, it's one of many, since I seem to have a lot of mental time to think about this, usually while I'm driving, is how do you actually figure out what the best way to present all these things are, which is the design question. Do you separate it out like that? Do you merge everything together like that? Or there's, of course, the Facebook approach, where you don't actually have pictures of people. You have their names. So I know that 3 other people. I haven't actually figured out how it determines who the most important people are here, or if it's just doing it in order of like. Sorry, that's not one of the ones. I think I had another example here somewhere, but I've opened too many windows today. So the question is, how do you make a decision about how you're going to present information once you have it? There's another example. And then you get into symbols. What do you use to represent all these things? So it's good that it's the last topic. It's not quite as controversial as some of the other things, but it's always the question of what should these things look like, and how. You don't want every site to look the same. In fact, that's an advantage of it not. But how do you convey that information?
I think that
I've sort of come to the conclusion.
We have 2. Who wants to go first? Well, since one of you has frozen up,
I don't
I'll
get enough
volunteer you.
interactions on any given post.
You don't?
Who
Look
froze
at this. John did, a.k.a. the dot. But basically, you got a lot of interaction here. On this example, the one that's in the face pile example.
So that's what I was going to say. Like, in the majority of cases, I have 2 or 3 likes or comments at the most on anything. So it's not. It ended up not being worth it for me to try to like optimize that and have, or compress it, not optimize it, but like compress it down into a smaller area. So I just list out everybody now, like Tumblr does.
Let's see, did I pull up a Tumblr example? Anybody have a good Tumblr example of that?
Just go to ACGX.
What was the? Can you paste it?
My internet's not really working, which is weird.
I've posted an example from Bootstrap. I'm colorblind, so I use it a lot. This file for using Bootstrap.
Well, that's the traditional comment. That's the traditional comment threading, which is the indented icons.
Yeah.
But that was one of the reasons why I was asking about it. Is have what should a reply look like? What should a reply context look like? What should all these things look like so that they're easily understandable, and what should they include? It ends up being a design question that everybody implements differently.
Is there any reason not to do something that looks like this? Maybe, I don't know,
well,
you could follow
other
them,
than-
or
Other than the general, is there any reason not to? So if obviously there are only so many ways to do things, but you have a lot of people doing a lot of different things, and then eventually somebody comes up with a new way nobody thought of.
yeah, like for example, if you take this as a basis and then you say, okay, I will fold them like an accordion or something. Say like, this is not usual, but still it speaks the same language.
But I keep identifying different ways of doing it.
Yeah.
So I've identified so far you have explicit names, no explicit names. You have images, you have no explicit images, you have images that only appear when you hover over things. So there are a lot of, the more that I look, the more different ways I see of doing it.
Have you been screenshotting these, posting them?
Well, I have a whole bunch of ones I need to crop and put in. My unfortunate problem is when I hit the screenshot button, I have a dual monitor set up and it shows all of them. I really have to get that fixed.
Do you have a Mac?
No, this is Linux.
Oh.
There's an option for it, but I keep meaning to reset it. But I thought this would end up being one of the shorter topics because there isn't as much opinion about it. It's not as straightforward as a protocol. It's all subjective.
My opinion is if you can't do it with Bootstrap, do something you can do with Bootstrap. But that's because I'm colorblind.
Well, you know, I've done a bunch of things with Bootstrap, but I've lately been designing a lot of features that don't have Bootstrap because everybody's using Bootstrap right now, and sometimes you just want to be different.
Yeah. D3 has lots of interesting ways to show lists and stuff. You know D3?
Not off the top of my head. No.
Just D3JS. It's actually, if you use it, you can use it instead of jQuery, like, because it does everything that you need for user interface. Usually it doesn't happen because you're using also some component that uses jQuery, but theoretically you can do everything with it. It's an amazing thing.
Okay, well, I'm going to bookmark that for later since it doesn't want to load up right now. I don't know why, but it said that won't load up.
It's like the guy who does it, Mike Boston, is from New York Times, I think, from visualization of statistics and data and stuff like this. It's like a whole department doing things that look nice.
Well, those guys are professionals. I admit to not being one, at least in terms of design. So that's been a long-standing topic.
It's like mathematically nice. It's not like nice like people who know how to draw. It's like things that are mathematically nice. I really like this.
I look forward to seeing what other people come up with. I know I designed 3 different ways of doing things because I can't make a decision. So I actually have a button for option 1, option 2, option 3, so that I can switch between them when I get bored of one of them.
Okay.
But, as I said, I thought it would be a rather short topic.
Yeah, sorry, I had to run out on that one.
Yeah. So I guess we're ahead of schedule for lunch break and group photo.
Yeah, and a lot of people seem to have disappeared already.
Well, since we scheduled a 3 o'clock group photo and a lunch break, what if we start the lunch break early, we come back for the group photo and start the hack day?
Alright.
Okay.
Okay, it is now 2:40 Eastern Time, or your local equivalent. It is time for lunch or whatever meal you choose to have. And I don't know, is there a way to put up a sign that says we will return?
We should probably stop the stream so it doesn't keep recording.
Sounds good.
Okay.
So we will post in the chat room the new link then once we get it restarted.
Okay, so So
Okay.
So that would be. Why don't we split the difference? I'll edit the schedule. We'll put it at 15 after the hour.
Sounds good. 3:15.
Okay. For the group photo, and I will add an extra column for now to be lunch break. So we'll just split it. Okay, it'll be updated in a moment. Adjourned, I guess.